Hello, welcome to the honest, you say two,
Two.
stonks
What do I say?
YouTube
YouTube.
channel.
What
and
do I say?
today, we're not doing that for the whole intro, that's just going to be painful. And
We're not doing
today,
that for the whole intro. That's going to be painful.
Goddamn. And today we're ranking Marvel movies because recently I managed to get Patrick into Marvel movies and it's great. So now we can do videos on them. So to start with, Iron Man. I've thought a lot about where I'm going to put Iron Man. Like pretty much ever since we said we were going to do an MCU tier list, I have been thinking about this, and I'm going to chuck it on an A tier. It's an amazing movie. I do love it. It is probably S tier material, but I really want to try and reserve S tier for the absolute cream of the crop. And there are a lot of movies that I like more than Iron Man.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
But it's just a really solid movie. Like, it's an amazing way to start the MCU. Robert Downey Jr. is perfect as Iron Man, just beyond perfect. Obadiah Stane wasn't a bad villain either, which a lot of MCU movies suffer from having bad villains, but Obadiah was a pretty good one to start with.
The CG, at least the Iron Man suit looks better than anything else. Any other Iron Man suit ever. Especially Endgame. It just, there's some shots in that suit. And I think it's because there was a lot more practical effects.
So, Incredible Hulk, I don't know where to put this one, to be honest. Mainly because I only watched it once, and it was a really long time ago. I think I'm just going to put it in C. I might adjust it later on if I feel like it. I was surprised by it. When I watched it, I didn't think I was going to like it, and I thought it was alright. Iron Man 2 is going to be above Incredible Hulk, but I think it's going to be a B tier. It's a decent enough sequel to the first Iron Man film, but it's just not on the same level, in my opinion.
I might chuck it in C. Not as good. What I like that it introduces Black Widow and Nick Fury.
It did do a
And
good
hell,
job at like easing us into expanding the universe.
But it still feels like it's just very self-contained.
Okay, Thor. I don't know where to put Thor. I think Thor's I think it's got to go above Iron Man 2 for me. I did actually quite like the first Thor movie. It's one of those movies that I think it's a kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I don't actually think it's that good of a movie, but I just enjoy it. I know, it's weird.
F. The fact that, like, Marvel, like, I don't know, I think they were pretty bankrupt at this point, were they?
I don't know if they were bankrupt at this point. They still had pretty big budgets.
But they couldn't afford a working tripod for the camera. I just hate the Dutch angles.
So, Captain America: The First Avenger. This one for me is at least on par with the first Iron Man movie, but I think it's probably gonna go below it.
Yeah, A.
I think the characters are one thing that this movie does really well. I really like pretty much every single character in this movie. It does a really good job at leading into the Avengers movie in that it introduces the Tesseract and, you know, it does a good job like continuing setting up the universe. And Avengers, guess what, people? We have our first S tier for me. It is just an amazing movie. Does everything right. I'm never bored watching it, even though I've seen it a million times. The cast has such amazing chemistry together, and it's just so good. Like, honestly, like, Loki's an amazing villain.
Hate to do it to you, Joel.
Oh god,
but it's going A tier.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna put it in like F tier or something. But yeah,
F tier. Oh my god, I hate every character, especially Loki. He's such a shit villain. But no, it's A tier. I mean, it suffers from just the problem when you do like an Avengers movie, is there's not as much character development. Like that's just
Iron Man 3. This is the first one where I have no clue where to put it. I actually think I like this one more than Iron Man 2.
Yeah, most people prefer it over two, though I don't know why, but I just I hate it. It's going in F tier.
Whoa,
I
Jesus.
can't choose if it's better or worse than Thor. I mean, I really do like that they show his PTSD, but just
I don't know. It's just an enjoyable movie. This is kind of like Thor, where I feel like it's a guilty pleasure, where I don't know why. I feel like my objective brain is saying it's not very good, but for some reason I just enjoy it. Thor the Dark World. F. My first F
yeah.
tier. Utterly unenjoyable. The characters kind of aren't fun. It's just the villains are boring. Like Thor and Jane, I just don't enjoy seeing them together. It's just not a good movie.
Yeah, same. It's just so bad.
Like, it has moments where it's decent, but on the whole, it's very forgettable. Probably the only good part about this is seeing Thor and Loki, like their brotherly relationship. That's just nice to see wherever it is. Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah.
I think Winter Soldier is gonna bottom A tier for me.
Oh my God, Joel, I want to punch you.
Are you about to put it in S tier?
Oh yes, this is my favorite MCU movie of all time. Just oh, it's so good. Sam's introduction is just perfect. He's just a
Hmm.
random bloke jogging around. My only kind of criticism is it just kind of feels out of place in the context of the MCU. That's like, oh, Shield's compromised. Because like you go back and watch like the first Avengers movie, it's like, was Shield really compromised?
I did really like Bucky in this as well. Bucky was
Yeah,
awesome.
Steve and Nat, like their whole chemistry is very good.
I think my big problem with it is it's one of those movies that I get bored watching. I feel like the pacing is a bit off.
No,
Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy might be my second S tier. I really enjoy this movie.
it's been a while for me since I've
Hmm.
watched Guardians, so I'm just gonna chuck it in A.
I feel like this is one of those movies that just works. It caters to my tastes really well. Like I tend to focus a lot on characters, and it has like some of the best characters, and they all have amazing chemistry. They work really well together.
Captain America, Winter Soldier.
There's a lot of really good character development as well. It's it is a bit long. I remember watching it for the first time, thinking it went on for a bit too long. It is also one of the instances of an MCU movie that goes for comedy that I actually find consistently really funny. Even Ronan, I'm not Ronan's probably my least favorite part of the movie. He's not that engaging of a villain, I think, but he's still fun enough to watch.
Can't really say much, but I remember really liking it.
Also, the soundtrack is goes without saying. The soundtrack is awesome.
Yes.
Age of Ultron.
This might be my first B tier.
This is like the epitome of it has really good bits.
It's the only movie where we get to see the Avengers just being bros, like the party scene, like.
Hmm.
Because at the end, well, Tony like half retires, eh? He always retires and never actually retires.
I might move this around later, depending on how the rest of the tier list looks, but I think it's gonna bottom B tier. It might move to top C. It's really a setup movie, I feel like. This is setting up the rest of the MCU. Like, we see Hulk go off where he's going to end up for Ragnarok. It kind of sets up Civil War. It sets up Thor Ragnarok. It's a lot of setup, and I don't enjoy setup very much.
One thing about Vision in Infinity War, that chick from Wakanda, oh sorry, Wakanada, is tells Bruce is like, oh, why did you program him like was it sequentially or something that
I
made it
don't know.
really? They said whatever it was making it really hard to take the Mind Stone out of him,
Yeah.
and it's like oh because we didn't think of that. It's like bruh,
Bruh.
but they didn't make him.
Yeah.
Ultron made himself. Thor lightning him, Vision, and then Hulk's gone for 2 years, pretty much up until that scene, really.
Also, I think this is the first MCU movie that for me just feels like a by the books. Like just
Yeah.
doing it because we gotta do it. Ant-Man. I also
Ant-Man.
so Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd the
Paul
movie.
Rudd.
I have no idea where to put this. I feel like anywhere I'm gonna put it, it's either gonna feel too low or too high. I really don't know where to put it.
Facts. I'm thinking
I'm
oh,
thinking on
above
top of
Age of Ultron.
I'm thinking it like over Iron Man 2, below Iron Man 3. It also is another one of those funny movies where I actually do find a lot of the jokes to be really
Yeah.
funny. I enjoy Paul
Also,
Rudd. Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd. He does a really good job. You know, the whole supporting cast is really, really good.
yeah.
Like Hank, Hope. The villain isn't really good. I don't like the villain that much. I can't remember his
No.
name even. Luis and the boys.
Yes, Louise.
Love Luis. Maybe it should go. I think I'm gonna move Age of Ultron down to top C. Ant-Man is also one of those characters that I really liked before he was introduced into the MCU. I was kind of salty at first because it's Scott Lang and wasn't Hank Pym, who was the Ant-Man that I was used to being Ant-Man. But yeah, Scott was really good, and Hank in
Hold
his
up.
position does really good.
Did they invent Scott?
They did not invent Scott, but Scott was not the main Ant-Man in the comics. He was
Oh,
Hank.
so he was an Ant-Man.
He was, but I think he was only there for a few stories. I don't think he was there for any like long runs. I think. I don't really know. Yeah, good movie. It's got good characters. It's got you know, it's good. It's good. It's alright.